well, I guess third time is a charm because I just can't seem to get this all in one take. Um, this is a new vlog I'm trying out. If you're watching our podcast, you'll know that that's already kind of very unfiltered stream of consciousness kind of content, and this is going to be also in that vein. I think just more so my inward opinions or thoughts and whatnot. So I'm doing this on my phone. This is going to be less production, so I hopefully get this out faster than the podcast. But if you like what I have to say in the podcast, hopefully you'll like what I have to say in the vlogs. And I'm thinking about calling it I Am Sam. And if you have a better name for that, just let me know. I didn't have a topic for today, and I didn't want to get too political on anything, at least not immediately. But maybe eventually we'll see if you guys want that. But I thought I'd give my thoughts on music, and how much it means to me, and kind of how I fell in love with it. And I guess to kind of start that off, at least for me in my life, it was probably honestly around when I was born, probably like growing up. My parents were they were products of the 90s. Well, at least my mom was 20 in 1990, my dad was 21, so they grew up in their 20s in the 90s. So they saw the birth of grunge and the rise of bands like Chili Peppers and Green Day and a lot of those big 90s bands, Pearl Jam and whatnot. And they also saw like NWA and when music, not that it hadn't meant anything before, but now it was more powerful, I think, at that time than it had ever been. Maybe I don't know, maybe there might be some 20s music that was pretty popular around that time too, at least in terms of how powerful it was. But I think the 90s was kind of a renaissance of music, and that's when I was born, was late 90s. And so I grew up on bands like Chili Peppers and Green Day, and not NWA, because that was, later on in life, yeah, but my parents didn't show me that. But a lot of those very early on influential bands I grew up on. I say that the Chili Peppers taught me how to love, and I guess that is kind of what the point of this vlog is going to be, is how to love, because I guess I'd always because of that. The point is, because of all that, I have always had a very deep affinity for music growing up. And there's a great appreciation, but it really took around the time until I was 13 to actually be, that it so be ingrained in me. Because I grew up like a rocker. I called myself a rocker. I was really into AC/DC and Led Zeppelin and more Guns N' Roses, bands like that. The Cult was a big band too for me growing up. But around the time I was 13, I was really into professional wrestling, like WWE, and a lot of the music that was associated with that, like the promo songs and the wrestlers intro songs. A lot of that was heavy metal and whatnot, just to kind of, because it was very aggressive to go along with that faux aggressive attitude that was professional wrestling. And sorry, my nose itches. So the first CD that I bought, and growing up, I wasn't super wealthy, but I didn't get an iPod till way later on in life, and I didn't have easy access to online music, so I bought a lot of CDs growing up. And this is like 2009, 2010, so iTunes was around, and it was easy to get music online, but maybe I just was too stupid to find free music, or I don't know, but there was something about CDs that really captured me at a very young age. And the first CD that I bought was 1X by 3 Days Grace, which I've actually gone back recently, re-listened to that album, and it's a great album still to this day. And I guess, to be fully transparent, my parents divorced around this time, so like it's kind of funny how like clockwork happened. When around this time of that going on, I found heavy music, and my home life is great now. I love my mom, I love my dad, I love my stepmom. Everything is fine now, but there was a lot of hiccups along the way, and just a lot of growing up to do, and life. But everything's good now. But at the time, it was rough for me, and I don't blame anybody. I don't blame my dad. I don't blame my mom. Whatever. But I just personally was very. I felt very insecure and very unsure of a lot of things, especially myself and my home life. So, when the album One X came out, it isn't particularly heavy, but it does have a lot of deeper emotions, a lot of pain. I mean, the second track is called Pain, and so it is more or less an emo album, in the purest sense. Where they came out, I want to say 2005. I want to say, regardless, it wasn't super heavy, but it was more of a cathartic experience. I mean, I think for myself at that time, and at this time, I still didn't consider myself. I still was like, oh, I'm a rocker. And then I found the band Korn, and that was my gateway band, because everything that I was feeling at that time was what they were playing. All the anger and hate that I was feeling and wasn't. I mean, I don't even think I was aware that I was feeling it, but what they were saying made sense to me, and it was what I was feeling. And that was my gateway through that. I found a lot of bands like Disturbed and Five Finger Death Punch and Lamb of God was another big band for me. And this is me growing up. I the heaviest band I listened to growing up was probably like Metallica, and even them I wasn't really super into until later on in life. So having all this very extreme form of music coming into my life at this time was again very just very super cathartic, in terms of me getting my emotions out. And it's kind of, so at this time, I guess I consider myself a metalhead. And it's funny because I didn't think about that until one day it kind of clicked, like, oh, this is metal. I'm a metalhead. And so, like, started dressing in black, all black, leather bracelet or leather cuffs and bracelets, and dark clothes and wallet chains, and the clothes of that ilk. And I used to shave my head because I was in football, another way to get my aggression out. And I was a really weird kid at this time. I was about probably 14, 13, 14, 15 probably. This is going down 2010, so 13, and then probably to 14 to 15. I was 15 in high school, so as of right now, the story 13, 14. And I started getting bullied for having this alternative lifestyle. And I'd always kind of been bullied through school. I kind of grew up as the fat kid, and I was really into comics and Star Wars and Marvel and superheroes when I was younger, and I got bullied for that too. I'm not sure if this is going up before or after the podcast where we introduce our new partners of the channel. Shout out to Zoe and Jordan. They are now partners of the channel. Old friends of mine that kind of will maybe pop into the story. But we kind of discussed how it was growing up as like a geeky nerd kid and being bullied. Well, so I had already had that experience, and now in junior high for now another reason. So whatever I was already feeling at home in terms of insecurities and unsure, introduce being bullied into that. Where now I have outside hate and anger coming in towards me. And also at this time, this was around the time where emo kids started becoming a thing, like Teased Hair and bands like Escape the Fate and stuff like that. So and I was not that. I was metalhead. So I got basically no female attention from anyone who I would have thought was attractive at the time. And I mean, what even does that mean in 8th grade? But no girls thought I was cute. No girls wanted to talk to me. So I felt very isolated at that time too. So it was a lot of really, really rough emotions. And if this was the start of my quote unquote real life, it started off really rough. I had a lot of life lessons hit me really fast, and I didn't know what they meant until later on. So it was just, it wasn't okay. I was struggling in school because I didn't give a shit about anything anymore. I was not doing well, and I ended up getting expelled or suspension without return, which is fucking expelled. And I put my parents through a lot of shit, and again, we're all good now, but I was not doing well, and I did no favors for my mom and dad at the time. But I found around this time I found the band Slipknot, and if Korn was my gateway band, then Slipknot became my staple band, for lack of a better term. They were with all this, as this anger and isolation and insecurity progressed and just built up, and I really didn't have an outlet to get it out unless it was football, and I wasn't really at that time wasn't invested in that very much. I kind of just did it just because it was something to do, and I wasn't really getting any catharsis out of that. So I just felt more and more hate and anger, and then I find this band that I picked up the album Iowa, and I actually re-listened to that again not too long ago, and I'll get into that later on. But to this day, at least me personally, after listening to bands like Whitechapel and Cow Decapitation, and a lot heavier, more visceral bands, I don't think any of that, to me personally, held a candle to how brutal and fucked up Iowa was. It was probably, for me, it became my Bible, for lack of a better term, as I was in this stage of my life, and it ramped up all my horrible feelings to 11. It made it so much more powerful. And I guess all this kind of was a defense mechanism, to self-preserve, and not to really let anyone in. Not that anyone was already trying to, but that I had friends here and there, friends I actually still talk to today, but we didn't really connect on anything more than just like, oh, I like Slipknot, you like Slipknot, let's be friends just because we both like the same band. We didn't really go into anything emotional, and at 13, 14, you're not really going to anyway. But we didn't. There wasn't this like camaraderie of, oh, we're both outcasts, let's be outcasts together. It's more so like we have similar interests. So not really a lot of like deep friendships made at that time. Later on, yes, but at this time, no. So I just felt, it wasn't a really shitty place at the time. I guess just fast forward to high school, I still felt that anger and hatred and aggression. And what's funny about high school and junior high is that high school is a bigger pond, and you realize real fast that not as many people care about what they did in junior high. They still care a lot. High school is, people care a lot about just bullshit the whole time. But it was much less, I feel, so in junior high, and I don't think I got bullied at all through high school. Junior high, yeah, like I had rocks thrown at me, and I wasn't held down and beaten to a pulp and left bloody, but it was verbal, and not that I give a fuck now. Like, you can say whatever you want to me, I don't care, and I know who I am. But at that time, yeah, it was very devastating to me because fucking junior high, I was very impressionable, and am I a faggot? I don't know, and being called really bad names. Like, I mean, at that time, being called a faggot was a really bad thing. It's not anything to do with gay, whatever. I'm not saying anything about that. But just, because I dress differently, and it was a really rough time. And sorry if saying the word faggot offended you. Just a word. Anyway, so in high school, I didn't really... I still felt a lot of that hate and anger, and it just kept building as I found more and more bands that kind of affirmed that anger. Because here were adults who I thought knew better, who were still as angry as I was, and but I think as I know now, it was less of a defense mechanism because I wasn't really being attacked anymore, or I wasn't as isolated because I ended up making more friends along the way, like Jordan and Zoe, and people like that. And I actually had a girlfriend at the time too, but I was so full of hate that not that I was aggressive to her or anything, but at least I don't think I was. But I'm sure I didn't do us any favors by having this deep set hatred in me of just everything, and not of her, just I was very aggressive. So I'm sure that in some way poisoned that relationship. And it was high school, so whatever. No relationships last, and if they do last and you get married to her, you're a fucking weirdo family anyway. Just kidding. But so that persisted, and I think something that I didn't touch on in the last time I recorded this was that I think by keeping that mindset of being very hateful and aggressive, it probably caused more pain, and I burnt a lot of bridges along the way that I'm sure I didn't mean to, or I didn't notice at the time, or I didn't realize fully. But I mean, I lost some people that I really regret losing, or that I wish I had ended differently, I guess so. And yeah, I was again really alone towards the end of high school. And I hated high school the whole time, more socially than anything. I hated high school completely, but I guess academic side of that and social side are two different. I hate them for different reasons, but I kind of just hated high school the whole time, and I guess it was that view that I had inside me the whole time of being so aggressive and hateful. And I graduated, and I still had it, still persisted the whole time. And I don't exactly know when it was. It was probably around the time I got my first job. That I realized that this isn't a way to live. I don't want to keep pursuing this life of constantly being angry and being anxious. And I struggled with panic attacks all through high school and still to now. And I'm sure that kind of fed off of what I was feeling then as well. And so after high school, I kind of just stopped listening to those bands. I gave up Slipknot and Korn and a lot of those bands that kept fueling me. And I kind of had to reevaluate, like, who do I want to be? Do I want to be someone who's progressive and someone who pushes love for everyone? Or do I still want to be this person who's very judgmental and very full of hate and anger and angst and wants everyone to just leave me alone? And it turned out that I really wanted to grow from that. And so I just pushed all of that. I don't think I pushed it down inside me. I think I just pushed it away. I got into bands. I actually got really into hardcore and punk and pop punk bands like I don't know, 100th, Venus Notion, Let Live was a big one. The Story So Far, bands that didn't necessarily push, a loving message, but promoted a better lifestyle, I guess. That was all I listened to for a while. And while I kind of, for lack of a better term, fixed myself. And it wasn't until years later, actually until pretty recently, that I was able to enjoy bands like that again. Like I said, I re-listened to Iowa just the other day, and it brought back a lot of feelings that I had to face again. And I'm happy to say, I think I was afraid that if I listened to that again, I'd fall back into those emotions. And I'm glad to say I didn't. I can enjoy it without having that fear that I'm going to be an asshole again. I think another fear was that I wouldn't enjoy, or I wouldn't love those bands as much as I once did. And I don't think that's true. I don't think I could ever love Korn and Slipknot the way I used to. But I can still really appreciate them for them being there when I did need them. I don't think I can just fully enjoy music now without it being an addiction, I guess because I am still addicted to music. I guess it's now not an abuse, which I believe there is a difference on. I used to abuse how it made me feel, and now I don't. Now it actually helps me become a better person, I believe. I do believe that music influences me to a crazy amount. So I don't think it was just the music. I think it was just my change of headspace and reevaluation. But like I said, music inspires me. So just surrounding myself with that greater message really reinforced that and helped me stay on a better path, I guess. And not that I was perfect, or I'm not even saying I'm fucking perfect now. No, God, no. But I'm much better than I once was. And, it wasn't immediate. I still had to learn and grow and realize, kind of figure out what put me in that place at first. And it was growing, and I kind of wish I would have done it sooner. But I think I can look back on the time when I was full of those just raw, unfettered, horrible emotions, and I can look back and kind of sympathize with myself. And before, I used to look back and be like, oh, I was an asshole then. But I mean, yeah, I was, but it wasn't without cause, I don't think. And I can say that now that, and again, if you knew me in high school, and I was an asshole to you, or you thought I was an asshole to you, I'm very sorry. And the people that I think I affected poorly, I've already apologized to them. And it was a mutual thing of them like, oh, like, I could have done things differently too. Whatever, but people do tell me I felt, or I looked intimidating in high school, and I mean, I guess I kind of did that unintentionally, but it was there. And well, it's funny because all through high school, like, again, I came in high school as a metalhead, and I was like, I'll never be fucking emo. Emo is fucking gay. I don't want to deal with that shit. But my friend Jonah gave me a copy of The Devil Wears Prada, Dead Throne. And not that is particularly a very emo album, or I use emo as a broader term, I guess post-hardcore or whatnot. But they were more of that post-hardcore, hot topic-y kind of band, and I loved it a lot. And I was like, the other shit's gay, but give me more of that. From that I got really into A Day to Remember, and actually ended up really getting into Pierce the Veil, which I don't think I ever would have beforehand. And I did like more lighter bands, but I was still really into the bands that really did fuel that hate still. So even though I introduced Better Emotions, I don't think it didn't outweigh the bad ones. I don't think very much, at least. I guess the point that I'm trying to make with this is, I had to learn the hard way to do that, and I had to lose a lot of friendships and relationships, and there was I don't try to live with regret, because I think that everything that I've done has led me to who I am now, and I'm happy with who I am now. But there was a lot of pain along the way that could have been saved. And if you're struggling with that too, and it might not even be just a struggle with music or emotions, it could be something else than that. But I try at least now to live as best I can, hurting nobody. Well, not even doing that, but uplifting the ones that I can, and try not to give up on the ones that I can't. And I guess you can call it PMA, positive mental attitude, which I believe it might be. I don't necessarily subscribe to that fully, but it is the same sentiment. And I really push that. I really push that we should all be our best selves, not only for ourselves but for our community. And that might sound kind of cheesy, and I realize that as saying that, but I really do believe that we all, especially in the culture that I'm in, which I guess would be more alternative, we all kind of struggle to fit in. And I think whenever I find someone who is feeling that, I help them know that they're not alone. And I tell them, how different my life was, and that it was essentially my own doing for the most part, I believe, or the continuation of it was my own doing. And I don't know, I don't really, I guess, have a full point to this. Just I push love and understanding and compassion where you can. And if you can't, reevaluate, try to be your best self, because I guarantee you a lot of the pain that you're feeling will stop. And I'm not saying that you won't be like, things won't affect you. I still get frustrated, and I still get angry with certain things, and I still deal with stress and bullshit, but I process them so differently now that I still believe that my hate is still somewhere in me, and my anger that I have, but I believe that I use that as a driving force now. It doesn't destroy me, and I don't just burn that off to be exhausted. I make others breathe and let that cancer grow. I believe I use that to drive me now to make my life better, myself better, and be better for my loved ones. And I guess that's just what I'm saying is, if something is hindering you from being the best you, you're going to need to really look deep into that and fix it where you can, and where you can't, I guess look to others or look to me. I mean, if I'm not a saint by any fucking regards, but if you ever need someone, leave a comment. I will always respond, or at least I'll try my best to, or message me on Instagram. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I'm not the most experienced, but I will try my fucking best to help, and I won't give up. At least not very easily. And I guess that's the point I'm making. I keep saying that, but I don't really have a point to this. It's kind of just my unfiltered thoughts coming out to you. But just love as hard and as often as you can. And I guess that's the point. And I guess that's it for now. If you watched this far, seriously, thank you. I know that this might change a little bit. I'm still working with it. Again, this is just off my phone. So if the quality isn't great, sorry. I might change it, might not. But leave a comment if you have any suggestions on what I should do next or talk about next, or if you have any suggestions at all, leave in the comments. If you've subscribed, I really appreciate it. If you haven't, I would, again, really, really appreciate it if you could, because we're not making any money off of this yet, and we're putting a lot of ourselves into it. And the bigger we get, the better we'll get, I believe. And I'm not sure when this will come up. This will probably be easier to edit than a podcast, or put together at least. So this may or may not come out before our next podcast, which will be introducing our new partners. And if it comes out before this, you look forward to that, because they're good old friends of mine, and Tony's and Lena's, and I'm really excited to have them as part of the channel. And if it comes out after that, just again welcome them to the channel. I would like to hopefully get up gameplays with them. Hopefully, I'm still working on how we can make. We all have kind of different schedules, so we're trying to figure out where we can and where we should. Yeah, we have some new faces, and I'm really happy to have them on, and I hope you guys like them as well. And I guess that's it for now. Again, please subscribe if you haven't. I would really greatly appreciate it. And if you didn't like this very much, thanks for watching still, and hopefully you'll like something else on the channel. I appreciate it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.